the rail. Miss K-Line 3/4 back in third. Court Snort is 4 wide. Then Point and Shoot. They're at the top of the stretch. And it's Zyzix on the inside and Midnight Silence. Zyzix means business. Fighting hard with Midnight Silence. Shoulder to shoulder. 3 back to Court Snort. Miss K-Line has shuffled back. Midnight Silence on the outside of Zyzix. And here comes Court Snort. Court Snort runs by them both in the shadow of the wire. Zyzix was very game in a photo with Midnight Silence, then Miss K-Line. To the outside. We're in the gate. And they're off. Can't get much more even than that. Ko-Olina and Stressed, both out alertly. She's Resilient and Phenom are up and on the pace. Then it's Alternate Rock, and at the back of the field is She's Bulletproof. Down the back stretch, and Phenom in between horses takes a narrow lead from She's Resilient. A length and a half, Ko-Olina in third. Followed by Stressed, who's made it over to the rail fourth, about 4 lengths off the lead. Then Alternate Rock and She's Bulletproof has 9 lengths to make up inside the 3/8 pole. And it is Phenom and She's Resilient 1-2. A length and a half, Ko-Olina in third. Now Alternate Rock is starting to pick up some momentum on the outside of Stressed. And 3 more to She's Bulletproof, also trying to get involved late. She's picking it up on the far outside. Phenom shakes loose, top of the stretch, 3-length lead. Alternate Rock finishing strongly in second. And She's Bulletproof as well. Here's Alternate Rock and Antonio Fresu up to take the lead. She's Bulletproof, Stressed, both closing as Phenom is weakening late. It's Alternate Rock. Fuller run close to home, and Alternate Rock wins by 2.5. Second went to Stressed in front of She's Bulletproof and Phenom. Fit walking up. They're in the gate. And they're off. Very weird start for Buffett. Tokamak is going out for the early lead. No Secret comes through. Non-Toxic up close, and Don't Test Your Luck in the firing line as well. South Coast Route is down on the rail, now moving up to take the 4th spot in hand and only 3 lengths off the lead. Buffett, who had that rough beginning, is now making an early, wide, ambitious move, and the distant trailer is Churchmeister. It's No Secret onto the backstretch, leading a half length to Tokamak with Non-Toxic 3 deep in third. Then Buffett on the far outside 4th. South Coast Route is racing in 5th, still snugly in hand, 2 lengths off the quartet in front. Then Don't Test Your Luck second to last, and a gap of 5 back to Churchmeister. They have a half mile to travel, and it is No Secret the leader by just a neck. Tokamak applying some pressure in second. Buffett on the outside of Non-Toxic, and South Coast Route at the rail now asked to go after the top pair, clearly into third, 2 lengths off those leaders. Outside of them, Don't Test Your Luck, and Churchmeister has been at the back throughout. They're approaching the quarter pole. And it's Tokamak on the outside, getting the lead from No Secret. 3 more South Coast Route, a distance to the rest. Churchmeister hugs the rail. 3/16 of a mile to go. And it's Tokamak in front at the rail. No Secret, not surrendering, fighting very bravely. These two have it to themselves. Tokamak on the outside, Umberto Rispoli. No Secret and JG Torrealba fighting back. No Secret or Tokamak. No Secret just in front. And No Secret. What an earning of a victory that was. Tokamak second by a block. South Coast Route was third. Then Don't Test Your Luck in Churchmeister. They're in the gate. And they're off. Discretionary Day is quick, so is Boss Sully. And those two vying for the early lead, joined by Geezer, racing in between rivals. And now Geezer is just in front as Mystic Flyer comes through to take second. Discretionary Day and Boss Sully are right together, third and fourth. It's 3 lengths back to Barely Functional on the inside of Don Vicios with the two trailers. Andy, Can You Hear Me? And Buck Owens is at the back of the field. It's Geezer the leader. Boss Sully on the outside moves up in the lime colors, taking second. And in between them, Mystic Flyer a length back third. Discretionary Day, Barely Functional, moving up in fifth, 4 lengths off the lead between rivals, and Don Vicios outside of him. Buck Owens is wide. Andy, Can You Hear Me? Looking for room. They're at the top of the stretch, and it's Geezer and Boss Sully still 1-2. 3 lengths back now to Mystic Flyer in third. On the outside, Barely Functional, Discretionary Day, and Andy, Can You Hear Me? Weaving through traffic as Boss Sully spurts away. And it's Boss Sully in a powerful performance, striding out to score convincingly. Andy, Can You Hear Me? Was second. Third to Barely Functional in front of Discretionary Day and Geezer. That's a riding double for Ramon Vasquez. And that also gives Brian Corner a double on the day. And they're off. Granny's IPA, but there's Ranger Joe taking command, and Ranger Joe clears off to lead it by 2. Granny's IPA, Levon is immediately guided off the rail. Fanning 4 wide was Torque Wrench, and further out, Cryptoholic. Around the clubhouse turn. And the lead belongs to Ranger Joe, but Granny's IPA comes right back, and Levon Headstrong just behind them, 3/4, now about a length behind third. Torque Wrench fourth, 3 off the lead, a gap of 4. Back to Cryptoholic. They straighten up for the run down the backstretch, and it's Ranger Joe back in front by a length and a half to Granny's IPA in second. Then it's Torque Wrench third, 2 off the pace while in the clear and tugging a bit. At the rail, Levon is fourth, and now a gap of 7 back to Cryptoholic. 3.5 furlongs remaining. Granny's IPA on the outside, Torque Wrench. There's been a lot of change in the running order for this small field. It is Torque Wrench now putting the head in front. Granny's IPA second, Ranger Joe third. Levon now 6 lengths off the lead. Cryptoholic is far back with a 1/4 mile to go. Torque Wrench, the wide leader at the top of the lane, striding away by 4 now. Granny's IPA, followed by Ranger Joe, and then Levon. There's an 1/8 of a mile to go, and Torque Wrench is too strong. He's going to blow this field away. Torque Wrench by 7, 8. It'll be a double-digit romp for Torque Wrench. Good battle for second. At the rail, Ranger Joe and Granny's IPA. Torque Wrench could not have made it look any easier. Ranger Joe, Granny's IPA, and Levon. In the gate. And they're off. Very smooth beginning. Petkoff in the center gets the first call. Vegas Burner rushes up on the far outside. Classical is in the firing line too, as is Pioneer Prince in the black colors, who comes through at the fence, and Moby Town in the yellow. It's a real scramble for the lead. Then comes Neon Lights, a gap of 4 to the last 2. Dr. Soulfire and 6 Magpies. Vegas Burner asserts himself now and opens up about 3 on Pioneer Prince in second, Petkoff racing in third. Then it's Classical fourth, 4 lengths off the leaders, followed by Neon Lights. Moby Town is next, 6 Magpies in the orange colors inching up down at the rail, and Dr. Soulfire trails. Rounding the turn, Vegas Burner, Pioneer Prince moves to challenge a neck back second. A length and a half to Petkoff third. Neon Lights in striking range fourth, followed by 6 Magpies. They are at the top of the stretch, and Pioneer Prince gets a narrow lead but gets company in the form of Petkoff on the outside. From the back, Dr. Soulfire is picking it up as Neon Lights angles off one from the outside, coming to the 16th pole. And here's Dr. Soulfire flying home, and Dr. Soulfire runs them all down. Neon Lights ended up second, followed by Petkoff third, Photo fourth, Vegas Burner, and Pioneer Prince. We're in the gate. And they're off. Perfect start. Report good as gone. Down at the rail, here's Daddy's Ruby coming through to take second. And Jensko in the blue between rivals now third. Our Swervin' Gervin 3 lengths off the pace. Sweet Mother Mary on the rail. And 3 more to Christie's Tiger. The new leader is Daddy's Ruby to the half-mile pole, tracked comfortably by Report in second. 2 more Jensko, Sweet Mother Mary on the rail. Good is gone now, 4 lengths off the lead. Our Swervin' Gervin in between rivals and a gap of 4 back to Christie's Tiger. 3 furlongs out, Daddy's Ruby and Report. Daddy's Ruby a half length, Report in second. 3 more lengths to Jensko, a joint third. Inside, Good is gone fourth. At the rails, Sweet Mother Mary, a quarter of a mile to go. And Daddy's Ruby tough on the front end. Report fully extended now, 2 lengths behind with an eighth of a mile to go. And Daddy's Ruby striding out smartly. And it's Daddy's Ruby waving goodbye at the 16th pole. A terrific Report here out of Daddy's Ruby, winning by 5 easy lengths. Report second best, Jensko third, then Christie's Tiger and Sweet Mother Mary. Here Saturday and Sunday, grab a pumpkin and enjoy a bevy of family fun attractions, including carnival rides, treat hunts, live music, and more. Saturday, we have the highlight of our smorgasbord pizza party with some of LA's best pizzas. The last one. They're in the gate. And they're off. Grazed out alertly. Gypsy Tears on the far outside is prominent in the early stages. Spiritual Advisor is in the mix too. In fact, Spiritual Advisor is up to take a narrow lead. Grazed comes through on the inside to challenge. They're followed by Mish, a joint third, and Gypsy Tears on the outside of that rival. Then comes Tom and Jazzy, followed by Catamacco. Luca Grazzi is second to last, and it is a long, long way to My Ransom, who trails. Less than a half mile to travel, and it's Grazed on the inside, and Spiritual Advisor, stride for stride. Gypsy Tears just a neck back, and Gypsy Tears now makes a move for the lead. Spiritual Advisor in second, Grazed back to third while hugging the rail. Tom and Jazzy is on the outside in fourth. Just behind them comes Mish. They are at the top of the stretch, and Grazed trying to dig back in on the inside of Gypsy Tears, who has the lead. Gypsy Tears and Grazed come past the 8th pole together. 2 lengths back to Mish in third, followed by Tom and Jazzy. They're a 16th of a mile from home, and Mish is kicking in on the outside. Does he have time? White blinkers. Grazed digs in, and Grazed. How game was he? Grazed fends off Gypsy Tears. Then it was Mish, an oncoming third. Behind them, Tom and Jazzy. And then it was a battle between Spiritual Advisor and Catamacco to complete the Super High Five. Pick 4, $117.05.
You know, the Breeders' Cup coming to town is a very interesting transformation for those of us who are here every day. You can actually see and feel the excitement. More grandstand seating is being added, more signage in the paddock. It's really quite a sight to see, and yesterday was the start of that. Today's even going to be more special as we build up to next Friday. We're just 6 days away from day one of the two-day Breeders' Cup Championship event. But first things first, we've got 9 races today, and I've got a local guy who's at the track here every day with me. His name, Larry Zapp. Larry, welcome to the seminar. Happy Saturday.
Tom, glad to be here, and it does feel a lot like Breeders' Cup.
It does, doesn't it?
I came in yesterday early for the races, and when you start seeing purple everywhere, obviously we're starting to see saddle cloths with the Breeders' Cup horses, and it's starting to really it's in the air.
It's been 4 years since we last hosted it. 2019 was the last year we hosted it, so it seems like just a short time ago, but it's great to have the Breeders' Cup people and all the horses and connections here in Southern California. What a spectacle it's going to be. In case you haven't heard, weather forecast for next weekend, high 70s, low 80s, not a cloud in the sky. It's going to be a spectacular weekend of racing, but we've got a good day of racing today, Larry. We'll get to that in a moment. But of the 2 days, I think both you and I like Friday better, simply because on Saturday, most of the form is established. Sure, there's going to be some prices and some surprises, but there's usually a lot of surprises on day number 1, because when you handicap the 2-year-olds, there's not much to go on. They've just had 1 or 2 races up to that point.
You know, the juveniles are exciting. You know, it would be like the NBA draft, like maybe combines. You know, these are horses we're going to get to know as their careers progress. But coming into this year's Breeders' Cup, got a lot of exciting prospects. We all know Baffert's going to have the 2-year-old colt division probably locked up. We've got Tamara. We've got Beholder's daughter, Tamara, who just looks so exciting out there in the mornings, and what she's done in her races have been phenomenal. Turf races, we got to quickly get to know the European horses and maybe a sprinkling of Japanese. They're more sending older horses to Japanese, but the European horses, Aidan O'Brien, primarily.
I've heard of that guy.
He comes in here ready to win some Breeders' Cup races. I believe he did at Keeneland last year, and the sprint race, which would be, I think, the first Breeders' Cup race, both males and females get to compete. And George Weaver has had a huge year, and he's got, I think, up to 3 in that race. They're really fun races, and these are the horses we'll get to know really quick this week if we're going to make some money.
Now, speaking of babies and being on the turf, you have a story about No Nay Never, who is a runner who most people haven't heard about. Tell us your story about No Nay Never.
Okay, he's by No Nay Never. His name is No Name Metz.
Well, you know what?
And here's the story. Alex Bregman, who just got eliminated, he plays for the Houston Astros. Him and his family are very involved in horse racing.
I've seen stories about them attending the Keeneland sale.
He's been doing everything from buying in Europe, buying in America, pin hooking, which is to resell horses.
Have you had a chance to meet him yet?
I have not, but my friend Jake Ballas, Black Type Thoroughbreds, shout out to him for a stake win at Keeneland yesterday. He's partners with him on a couple of horses. Here's the story. So Bregman buys this horse with Kieran Dunn, who's a notoriously high-level pinhooker out of Ocala, Florida. He's Irish in descent, very sharp eye, very, very good at what he does. They buy this horse by No Nay Never out of a Warfront mare, and they take it to OBS, and they get like a ridiculously fast drill. I think the horse worked in 20 and change for a quarter mile. The team of Mike Rapoli, who came to the barn at least 2, maybe 3 times, kept coming back looking at his horse, and he's like, well, we're going to lay a fair reserve. I think they paid like $250 for the horse, and I think they wanted $400.
Okay.
He was going to lay a reserve, and he did, and he ends up buying the horse back, and he's like, where's Rapoli? So what does he do? He sends it to Weaver. He runs it in Florida. Gulfstream had a couple races to get to Ascot.
I remember that, yeah.
And he won both of them, Weaver, and they're both going to show up in this race, Crimson Avenger and the filly. And he named this horse No Name Metz because Rapoli is notoriously a Mets fan, and his colors are Mets colors.
Yes.
He named it No Name Metz because Rapoli doesn't show up. He wins first time out, goes to Ascot, runs it through a sale, sells a good chunk of it for a lot of money, runs terrible at Ascot, didn't like the softer ground, comes back here and he's won 2 stakes in a row and might be the favorite. And it's just a great story that Rapoli, who had so many horses and everybody knows he's such a big owner. He ended up buying this horse. They named the horse No Name Mets. I think it's one of the most clever names I've ever heard.
Besides smiling about the story, Larry, what puts a smile on my face is some of the celebrities and big industrial type of people who are involved in our game. We casually throw around Mike Rapoli's name, but I mean, let's make no mistake, he made most of his money with the Under Armour, brand that basically he came out of nowhere. And
came out of nowhere in his last venture, Kobe Bryant, before we lost Kobe, made more money with Mike Rapoli than they ever made in basketball. That's how much money Mike Rapoli makes. He's a very sharp businessman.
And it's great to see him so actively involved in horse racing. And of course, he launched that new venture, trying to improve the game. We'll see how successful that is.
He's trying to help the owners. He's trying to help himself and help the other owners, and he wants their voice to be heard. And the guy is very vocal. We all saw what happened with Forte not getting into Kentucky Derby. And Mike Rapoli, he's invested a lot of money, and he's going to be a major part of this. And he's got good ideas, so let's hope it works out.
There's a lot of industrial titans involved in our game. Many of them own horses on today's 9-race card at Santa Anita. We're going to take a look at the card, but before we do any of that, we're going to toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and once again get the minimal amount of changes on today's card here at Santa Anita.
Details matter. First race, take out the 1, and in the second race, scratch number 3. Overweight in race 2, number 2, Screaming Virginia, 4 pounds over. In the third race, there are no changes. In the fourth, scratch number 2, Angel Nadeshiko. The pick 6 starts with the 4th. Fifth race begins the $3 all-turf pick 3. We have a blinker note. Sixth race kicks off the late pick 4 with no changes. In the 7th, no changes. 8th race, number 2, Midnight Love, 2 pounds over. The 9th is the Lure Stake, scratch number 3, Astronomer. And with that scratch, there is a revised morning line. Those are the early changes. Post time for the first and 57 minutes at 1 p.m. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Tom's guest today is Larry Zapp.
Welcome back. We're talking with Larry Zapp. He's a equine scout as well as a horse player. You can find him here at Santa Anita every single day and morning as well, for that matter. Larry, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's kick things off here in race number 1, which begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. We're sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. This race is for Calbred fillies and mares maiden special weights. One program scratch of the 1, The Music We Make, leaves us with a field of 8, the morning line favorite, and the prohibitive current favorite at 1-2 is number 8, Dusty Springfield, second-time starter from the Phil D'Amato barn. Before we get your thoughts on the race, we want to show the replay of Dusty Springfield. This was back on October 6th here at Santa Anita. She's going to be easy to find. She's the gray that trails the field, and certainly Juan Hernandez maybe learned something this particular day. But there's other runners in this field as well. Both number 5, Satoshi, and number 7, Grazed in Touch, also exit the race. But the one we want to watch and the one we want to listen to Frank Mirmati describe the action is Dusty Springfield, the gray, who's going to be trailing the field.
And they're off. Grazed in Touch and Sarande on the outside are showing good speed. Satoshi is now rushed up down at the rails. Smiling Amy is pretty quick, and Smiling Amy now vying for the lead as Sand to Sea takes second. Satoshi is third, just a half length off the top pair. Then Grazed in Touch in fourth, followed by Sarande 4 lengths off the leader. Take Care of Me is next, another 2 lengths back to The Music We Make, and Dusty Springfield trails. Into the far turn, it's Smiling Amy leading by a neck, pressed by Sand to Sea, with Satoshi outside of that pair. Then it's Sarande, followed by Grazed in Touch at the rail, fifth, but just 3 lengths off the lead. Dusty Springfield is starting to pick it up, the gray on the inside of Take Care of Me as they pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Satoshi on the outside, Sarande running a big race in the center of the course. Sand to Sea is down at the rail. They're in the final furlong, and here's Sarande on the outside looking for the lead, battling with Satoshi. Far outside, Dusty Springfield is starting to close ground. It is Sarande close to home, and Sarande and Umberto Rispoli win it going away. Sand to Sea was second.
Larry, Dusty Springfield on debut kind of put in a winning effort, but then kind of late in the stretch lugged in and kind of showed her greenness. You expect improvement today, and of course, Nick Alexander always cleverly names all of his runners.
He absolutely does. You know, I expect improvement. That's a great schooling race for Dusty. I mean, she did everything wrong. The middle move she made to pull herself into the field, and then she kind of got lost a little. I think you said it best. The way JJ's riding, he learns from his mistakes. And I'm not saying this was a mistake for him because it was just a young filly, but I think they won't make mistakes today. She's got obviously a lot of talent, and that name, Dusty Springfield. Last weekend, Tom Seaver, the guy is just coming up with great names, Tom.
And Frank Mirmati calling Tom Seaver the franchise in the Shadows of the Wire was also very spontaneous and very well put. You give a little love on your selections here, Larry, to number 6, who is Magic Wanderer, 16-1 on the board right now, first-time turf. Why do you like her?
Well, you know, I like the synthetic races, and that we all know those transfer a lot of times, and I just like Miotti could have went back up north. I mean, I'm going to throw the dirt race out saying she's a synthetic turf horse. She's by Grazen, who out of Square Eddie Mare, so she screams turf, and I really like her 2 races that she ran on the synthetic at Golden Gate Fields, and it gives me a lot of confidence that her trainer decides to keep her here and run her down here because he could easily have sent her back up north, Tom. So I just think we'll get a price, and this hot riding apprentice rider is pretty darn good. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Torrey Alba is the way you pronounce the last name, but you're right. 4 wins from just 33 months so far at the meet, and the 7-pound weight advantage that he gets certainly is something that's attracting the eye of many, many trainers here in Southern California. Let's turn the page, Larry. Take a look at race number 2. We're on the main track, 1 mile the distance. This is a start of the 50-cent early pick 4. and it's for maiden claiming 2-year-olds in for a $50,000 tag. We've got a field of 5 after the scratch of number 3, Details Matter. Take note, number 2, Screaming Virginia, is a filly running against the boys. But speaking of Torrey Alba, he rides the favorite here, which is number 5, Thompson, taking the blinkers off and going 2 turns for the first time. What say you about race 2, Larry?
Yeah, I went with the favorite, Thompson. I hate to just stick with the chalk, but he just makes too much sense here on the stretch out. He's out of a flatter mare by First Samurai, so the pedigree says 2 turns. He's coming out of the best races, and he's got that almighty speed, which going 2 turns on this main track, Tom, especially horses you know will be struggling down the lane. I want to be on the lead probably about the quarter pole and maybe widen after that. So I had to go with Torrey Alba and Thompson here for Tim Yakteen. And I jumped in on Screaming Virginia, the 2 horses, my other selection. I liked the race 2 back. The horse passed horses, and then it came back and passed horses again at Santa Anita after the Los Al race, being by Mastery out of a Sky Mesa mare. It's kind of a logical, kind of boring race to me, but I think these are the 2 right horses just to get that check mark if you're going to play the pick 5.
And I mentioned Screaming Virginia, filly running against the boys. She's done that already twice in her career. The race that Larry mentioned back on September 15th at Los Alamitos. Also, the September 4th race at Del Mar. You can see she ran against the boys that day. So Luis Mendez certainly not scared of running her against the boys, that's for sure. Race number 3 back on the turf course. This time we're going 2 turns. 1 mile is the distance. Maiden special weight fillies and mares. A field of 6. Morning line favorite number 4, Make It Snow, who you're very familiar with. Before we talk about Make It Snow and the others in the race, take a look at the jockey on number 3. Welcome back to Southern California, Frankie Dettori. He's going to ride not only today and tomorrow, but of course Breeders' Cup week as well. As I'm sure you've heard, he's made the announcement that he's going to ride in Southern California throughout the main winter meet as well, which kicks off on December 26th. Always good to see Frankie back in the jockey colony. He spices things up, that's for sure, Larry.
I wish I can get him. I mean, we tried to get him on a couple horses this weekend, and he is more in demand than ever before. I guess he came here earlier in the year and proved himself to everybody in Southern California.
He sure did, Larry, not only on the turf going short and long, but also on the main track as well. So certainly he is a force to reckon with. What did you think of Make It Snow here? I actually played her last time out. She kind of loomed up and then flattened out, but of course that was in a big stakes race. Now she drops in against maidens. You putting her on top?
I'm putting her on top for my clients, California Racing Partners, Brand Jam, who's been a great client, and Josie Aglia. She's got to prove herself, Tom. Is she a router? She's bred to route. Empire Maker, Lemon Drop Kid, you'd think she'd want to run 1.25 miles. Everybody in my group's confident she'll get the second turn. I'm picking her because I think she'll be in the right spot turning for home, and I'm hoping her pedigree carries her through because she's not the scopiest girl in the world, but I don't know if that really matters here because it's a short field, and I think she'll be – I think Victor got to know her really well last time. I thought he maybe used her a little too early in that race last time. I think, though, stretching out, he'll have her in the right spot turning for home. But the horse I'm nervous about is right next to us, and that's the 5-horse Beautiful Bolt. Bolt the Oro's trying grass for the first time, especially 2 turns, excite me because he's done really well in a short period of time. And Mick Ruiz takes over the training. He obviously owns the horse. The works, they look very solid to me. 59.4 and 1 2/5 coming in. But I like both the Oros on grass. You put Elusive Quality as the Broodmare sire. I think there's value here at 12-1. So I picked the race 4-5, but it might be a little trickier race than it looks on paper.
Larry's second pick, number 5, Beautiful Bolt in race number 3, as you mentioned, sired by Bolt Dior. But take a look at the dam. Southern California racing fans might remember her. Her name is Beautiful Becca. She was trained by Adam Kitchenman. She was actually 3 for 14 on the turf course here in Southern California. This is her first foal, but certainly there is some turf influence here. And as Larry mentioned, 12-1 on a Mick Ruiz horse certainly has to pick up your eyes. But of course, Larry is rooting for Make It Snow simply because he's part of that group that owns Make It Snow. Race number 4 begins the $1 pick 6, traditional $1 pick 6, no more 20-cent rainbow pick 6 jackpot carryovers. And we kick things off here sprinting 6.5 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares. Allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 2 other than 1 scratch. Scratch the 2. Angel Nadeshiko leaves us with a field of 5. Kind of a match race between the inside and the outside. Number 1, Ice Dancing, who we haven't seen since January, adding Lasix for the Richard Mandela barn, is the 9-5 morning line favorite. The second choice on the outside from the Bob Baffert barn, number 6, Doing It the Hard Way, doing it the hard way, has 2 career victories, both here over this main track. Larry, how'd you see race 4?
Well, I mean, you said it best. It's a match race. Mike Smith, second time actually. He rode Ice Dancing first time out. But you got a grade 3 winner coming back off of a layoff for a very competent trainer who can have a horse ready to run, Richard Mandela. And I just think you have to give the edge to a horse coming off 2 straight wins. And I know that Mandela is not running a short horse here. And the Baffert horse that you mentioned, doing it the hard way, she's been in and out, or very inconsistent. But you did point out something that a lot of handicappers very effectively use, is the fact that she loves Santa Anita. She's 2 for 4 at Santa Anita, and I think she'll get maybe a good stalking trip from the outside. But I'm just hoping Mike Smith rides a clever race, which we know he's capable of. And I didn't get too creative here. I just went 1-6.
Larry, before we take a look at race number 5 at the opening, we teased the Breeders' Cup coming up next weekend. And we were talking about Friday's races, which are primarily for juveniles. And there's a few races on Breeders' Cup Friday, which is day number 1 of the Breeders' Cup, that you're very excited about, specifically a few horses. Can you tell us who they are and why you're so excited?
Yeah, as soon as I call up my, these are 2-year-olds, Tom, and we don't get to know them real well.
Be prepared for a lot of curveballs when you come on the seminar.
You know, I mentioned the no-name Mets horse, and there's a lot of speed in the juvenile turf, and I think I'm looking for a closer in that race. And there's a closer that I'm actually know something about the pedigree. I have a mare. We raced a horse out of the mare Sweetest Sound, Diva in Charge, and she actually had a beautiful Mo Forza for her first foal this year. She's over there at Kingfisher Farm up in San Ynez. But Committee of One is her brother. And his race at Keeneland was very impressive to me. He's just the way he kicked it in.
Who's the trainer?
Steve Asmussen.
We got a few races.
We've got a Mendelssohn here. And I just think he's going to make the last run. And I'll bet he goes off a very, very fair price. And then obviously the juvenile fillies. Is it a match race or is it a 1-horse race? I mean, to me, just FYI, the George Kokorian homebred by the hot sire Justify, they just bumped his stud fee to $200,000. Her and Candide have done very little wrong in their careers, both undefeated, both look legit. But when you put Tamara against them, it's just like, I can't wait to watch this race. You got 3 undefeated fillies, all with a ton of upside potential. I'd give Tamara the edge there. But the horse I'm excited to bet on is Cherie DeVos had a really nice year. She's had a breakout year. She used to work for Chad Brown. She's aligned with David and Gordo, who works for Lane Zen and Dottie.
Zenyatta. Yeah,
they found Zenyatta, and Dottie and Gordo, who's married to John Sheriffs. He grew up in the game, and he's got a very sharp eye. But they've got this horse, She Feels Pretty, a Carrot Conte filly that
In which race?
Oh, this is the juvenile filly turf, Tom.
Okay.
And She Feels Pretty wanted Woodbine like a freak, and it was more her gallop out than her stretch run that impressed me. She won the grade 1 Natama. It was a 1-turn race, so she's going to have to change it to 2 turns here. But she won 5.5 first time out from off the pace. She's probably my best bet on the juvenile card. I mean, I just think she's a freak. When you see her physically, you'll be tweeting her out to your followers. And if you don't follow Tom Quigley on Twitter, he gives out really live information. I mean, minutes before the race. You've helped me.
Well, thank you, Larry.
Yesterday's last race, I threw in your 6 with the 2 grays I liked and hit the trifecta.
Might have been best.
Really, really happy it didn't win because I needed it to fill the try, not to win the try. Then you got, how good is Locked? How good is the Son of Gunrunner? How good are the 2 Baffords, Muth and Prince of Monaco? And Weinstord gave Locked everything it could handle. There's some nice juveniles in that race, Tom. But the horse I'm also excited about is in the juvenile turf, the Colts, Endlessly, which was it sounds
Michael
like
McCarthy.
It sounds like a Beach Boys song. It's an Oscar performance. It won the Zuma Beach. They had a surfboard. Bob Feld walked out with the surfboard, and he was out there taking pictures after the race by the gift shop. And this horse they haven't gotten to the bottom of this horse. Michael McCarthy, 3 races, 3 easy wins, has brought this horse along. And there's going to be some good Europeans in this race, but Endlessly is worth looking at hopefully a price.
A lot of exciting prospects on tap for both Breeders' Cup Friday and Breeders' Cup Cup Saturday. We can't wait to host it here at the Great Race Place. Speaking of exciting prospects, Larry, you've got one in here in race number 5 and 15-1 on the morning line. That would be number 5 visually. Race number 5 is going 2 turns on the turf course, 1 mile is the distance for maiden special weight 2-year-olds. Race 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 5, and also the new wager at Santa Anita, the $3 all turf pick 3, always on the final 3 races that we card here at Santa Anita. Before we get your thoughts on the race, we want to watch the replay for number 5 visually. Her last race was back on October 14th, just 2 weeks ago. It was the 5th race. Not only do I want you to watch her, she's going to have some sort of trouble. She's in the royal blue silk. She'll be near the back of the pack. But more importantly, I want you to watch the gallop out because that was a sprint race. Now she's going to go 2 turns for the first time. So let's watch visually run back on October 14th here at Santa Anita.
We're in the gate. And they're off. Quick beginning for Double Bay. Impec is up close in the early going. And here's Ice Cream, You Scream, moving up to take second. Not a Sinner is close up now, taking the 3rd spot just in front of Impec as they head toward the half-mile pole. Respect the Crown and Ellie Moore are next. They're racing about 5 or 6 lengths, now about 7, behind this front runner who's getting loose on the front end. Kaylin Dana is next to 2 trailers visually and Feisty Matoli at the back of the field. It's Double Bay into the far turn, leading it by 2. Ice Cream, You Scream second. Not a Sinner at the rail is in 3rd. Having to steady behind a tiring Respect the Crown was Ellie Moore. And Ellie Moore certainly compromised, now 8 lengths off the lead. In the meantime, Impec in the green is making a 3-wide bid. Ice Cream, You Scream up to Double Bay. Ice Cream, You Scream has the lead. In the center of the course, Feisty Matoli is starting to find a little bit of stride. And Respect the Crown is there. Ice Cream, You Scream, Not a Sinner takes up the chase in second. Ice Cream, You Scream. Ice Cream, You Scream. We all scream for Ice Cream. Wins it by 3. Not a Sinner second. It's a photo. Impec got the show, though, just in front of Respect the Crown.
Larry, visually was saddlecloth number 4 there, and you can see Tiago looking behind him. Certainly visually had a very troubled trip with not a lot of room coming down the lane. But as I mentioned, now you go 2 turns, you get the red-hot Kyle Frey in the saddle. You got to be excited about her chances, particularly the 15-1 morning line.
Tom, she's had trouble in both her races. Now, the history with this horse is Amanda Murphy, who's been my secret weapon for 7 years, found this horse. We tried to pinhook her, and I bought her from the group we pinhook with to race. So I'm glad I kept her in tow because we were the only ones who seemed to see something in her. And Entice is off to a really nice start. He's throwing dirt and turf horses. We just want a clean trip. Kyle Frey is riding dynamically these days. Bob
Sometimes
Baffert,
the freshening helps, doesn't it?
Yes,
Whether it's
it
a
does.
horse or a human being.
It really does. We could talk about something else later about it, but I know we're running out of time. But visually, if we get a clean trip, every clocker that's seen her in the morning has said needs more distance. I think she needs more distance. A lot of people I know love her today, and I don't think we get the 15-1. But if we just get a clean trip, we're going to get to see what this filly can do. So hopefully she gets that clean trip with Kyle Frey. And the horse I'm worried about most is Circle of Trust, the 8-horse.
She ran great on debut.
She really did. I could have showed her as the troubled trip in this race because she did everything went against her, but it was a great schooling race. Another Phil DeMotto runner you expect to move forward, and he gets that guy Dettori on. So I had to use her as my other horse. 5-8 for me in race number 5.
Race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. Once again, we're going 2 turns on the main track. 1 mile is the distance. $16,000 claimers. Non-winners of 2 races lifetime. A good field of 9. Number 8, Tiz Talk. Second off the claim for trainer George Parabon as the 5-2 morning line choice. Tyler Bay's in the saddle. Good to see some of the wealth being spread around here with different jockeys being on morning line favorites. What say you about race 6, Larry?
Our jockey colony is getting deeper by the day, and they're all hungry and they're all out here working in the mornings. I had trouble with this race. I went with the 3-horse of Philavitos, Take Charge Curly, mostly because I liked its last race. I know it was on wet fast, but this horse, I think there's some cheap speed in this race. And Take Charge Curly, Kyle Frey again, looks like a horse that can pass horses. And that's really all I was looking for in this race. I mean, after that, I went with the 9-horse Canelo. I never know what to do with Kristen Mulholland droppers. They either win off the screen or they run up the track. I'm hoping if the other one doesn't fire, that this horse is coming out of the best races. It's taken a massive drop. Ricky Gonzalez, he gets his chances. He makes the most of them. I really didn't like this race, but I went 3-9 looking for one near the lead, the 9, and one off the pace, the 3. So 3-9 for me in a very tough race.
Race number 7 is for fillies and mares traveling 1 mile the turf course. It's an allowance optional claiming race, non-winners of one other than a field of 7. The morning line favorite on the bottom is number 7 at 5-2 on John White's morning line. Your Want Here is the name of this 4-year-old filly. Patty Gallagher trains. Antonio Fresu, another new face in the Jockey Colony rides. Give us your thoughts on race 7, Larry.
You know, I went with the human connections. I don't know. There's very little to know about except the grace period in this race. The 4-horse does get Frankie Dettori, was bought by Nafi Glenhill Farm, and some, I guess the breeder stayed in. But when I see Glenhill Farm, Craig Bernick jump in and get involved with other people, and Nafi, and I see that name Nafi, I know they didn't buy this horse for a low number. And I've got to feel there's a story about the 2 bad races this horse is coming off. It's because the race 3 back and 4 back would crush this field if it can translate to American racing.
And beat the boys in November of 2022.
Tom, you don't miss a thing. But I'm telling you, Frankie Dettori getting on this horse, and the workouts look solid once again for a turf horse to go 59.3 in a minute and change. For me, just gives me some confidence. I had to go with this horse. I had trouble picking the second horse. I went to the outside. Another horse you could have done. You got really rank in that race. And Fresu stays on, which gives me confidence. Patty Gallagher, very capable guy. I just think this horse, I gave it a slight edge over the Phil D'Amato horse next door to it, but you only let 2 in a race, so I went 4-7, and I think this race is an interesting betting race.
It's music to my ears to hear you struggle with both races 6 and 7, Larry. Not personally, but simply because it shows how difficult they are, which means that the payout should be good in all the multi-race exotic wagers. Race number 8 begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4. That's right. Don't forget our sister track up north, Golden Gate, is running today. That means we resume the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4 wager, linking our last 2 races here at San Diego with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. And we kick things off here in race number 8, sprinting 6.5 furlongs for maiden optional claiming. Unique conditions here for 2-year-olds. Basically, you have to come from a small barn, generally speaking, to be eligible for this race. And take note number 3, favoritism is a first-time gelding. Drawn right outside of him is the morning line favorite, Eligio, who's 5-2 on John White's morning line. Phil Oviedo, once again, with a live runner in here. Talk to us about race 8, Larry.
Well, that's the horse to beat because it's so consistent and it fits the condition, and it's run 3 seconds. And I'm going to pick it second. I'm using Phil's other horse, and that's right in front, the 6 horse. Nice price on this horse at 12-1. The thing I love about it is our Eleanor, the dam. I bought a half brother of this horse 2 years ago named Cathedral Beach. He's won about 4 races, made almost 200,000. So I know the dam throws runners. And this horse, if you watch his race, I thought the horse was very game to get up for second that day, and it looked a little green. And if it can move forward just enough with Giovanni Franco, why not go for the how many times do we see a trainer with 2 horses and the bigger price tends to win? So I'm going to make sure I got Oviedo covered here. I'm looking for a big day from Phil. So I'm going to 2 Oviedo runners. 6-4 for me, race number 8.
Larry, before we take a look at race number 9, those of us who are local and enjoying your analysis, you're actually doing something special on Breeders' Cup weekend this coming Friday and Saturday, right down the street, as a matter of fact, at Matt Denny's. You could literally walk from here to Matt Denny's. It's a great place. It's kind of a sports bar that shows races on a 24-hour basis. Talk to us as we show the graphic about what you're going to be doing at Matt Denny's on Friday and Saturday morning.
Well, I've been doing it for years. They've been around for over 20 years, and every time we have a Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita, Matt McSweeney used to own the place. He doesn't anymore. They've had new owners, but Gabe Hyatt, who actually coaches for the Arcadia High baseball team, he helps them out. He's their beer consultant. And he asked me to do it this year, and I said, for old time's sake, absolutely. Gabe's going to set everything up. Doors open at 7. Food.
You can have breakfast, right?
Food, breakfast, booze.
Bloody Marys.
Exactly. And I'm going to have some surprise guests. You're even invited to show up if you want to.
I might stumble in there.
I'd say at about 8 o'clock, we're going to start talking horse racing. We'll be a little tighter schedule on Saturday because of early post time. But Friday, it starts a little later, so we might let people just relax a little more. But both days, we're going to come equipped with winners, and it won't just be me picking them. I'm going to surprise some people with who shows up at the seminar. But you're right, it's up the street. It's a comfortable place. I hope people could show up before 2 great days of racing at Santa Anita Park.
If you're a local horse player coming to town for the Breeders' Cup, make sure you check out Matt Denny. 7 a.m. both Friday and Saturday. Doors open at 7 a.m. First post on Saturdays 10 a.m. So you still have plenty of time to have breakfast, sip on an adult beverage, and then walk over to Santa Anita. We close things out here, Larry, in race number 9 today with a stakes race. It's the Lure Stakes, $80,000 added, and a big scratch here. The morning line favorite, number 3, Astronomer, has been declared out of the race. The revised morning line favorite now is the East Coast Invader, number 5, Easter, who's 5-2 on the revised morning line. Also keep in mind, race number 9 offers $5 golden hour daily double wagering. Similar concept. Last race here with the last race at Golden Gate. But before I get your thoughts on the race, Larry, we want to watch a replay for the last race for number 8, Bally's Charm, a Calbred son of Roy Charmant, who stopped the clock last time, running a mile in 1:32 and change. You don't see that very often, taking them wire to wire. Bally's Charm has 5 career victories. 4 of them occurred over the Santa Anita turf course. When you watch this replay, I think you'll agree with us. A very impressive performance. So let's listen to Frank Miramati describe the action.
And they're off. Castleac in the middle of the course. Bally's Charm has speed and up to take the lead, and they're joined by Crosby Beach on the outside, who moves right into contention. Hurricane Cloud is up close now, moving into the second spot. Eastern Ocean is down at the rail. Tio Magico racing in between horses as they move into the clubhouse turn. Kid Azteca is 5 lengths off the leader. They're followed by Sarwar in the orange colors, length and a half in front of Carmelita's Man. The 2 trailers are Win the Day, and Fantastic is at the back of the field, some 12 lengths off the front running Bally's Charm, who takes them onto the backstretch with a 2-length cushion on Crosby Beach in second. Hurricane Cloud at the rail in third, followed by Tio Magico. Castleac is 5 lengths off the leader with a half mile to travel. Eastern Ocean is next, followed by Kid Azteca, who's in between rivals, 6 lengths off the lead. Sarwar and Carmelita's Man still right together, followed by Win the Day and Fantastic. Bally's Charm still leads coming to the quarter pole. Hurricane Cloud inching up on the inside, a joint second. Crosby Beach is outside of him. They're followed by Tio Magico. Castleac is next. And down at the rail, Eastern Ocean, there's an 1/8 of a mile to go. And Bally's Charm still with a 2.5 length lead. Tio Magico is finishing with some interest in the center of the race course, but with a 16th to run. Bally's Charm maintaining a nice lead, and it's Bally's Charm. Hector Berrios put them to sleep and took them coast to coast. Tight photograph.
Larry, Bally's Charm for 6 furlongs stopped the clock at 1:09 and change, as you can see right there. Wound up completing the race in 1:32 and change. Breathtaking. Third off a layoff. Hector Barrios never looked like he had to really uncork his stick. I have a feeling you like this horse today.
Yeah, I think he's going to do exactly the same thing, Tom. It was right before you had the memorial for Jose Champ Arias.
In the winner's circle.
In the winner's circle. So I was in the race with Fantastic, who runs down the hill tomorrow. This horse just impressed me. He won with a gear to go. He was still in 3rd gear, and they were coming, but they weren't catching him. Why won't he come right back and do it again? Astronomer, who scratches, was the only other horse I thought that can give him real pace pressure. I respect Easter, the shipper, but I'm going with this horse. Come right back and do it again. He ran 1:32 3/5, Tom.
It's tough to match the knowledge and also the energy of Larry's app, but somehow we did it over the last 40 minutes. Hope you enjoyed it, Larry. Thanks so much for your
Thanks
time
for
and
having
insight.
me.
Always a pleasure. Not only enjoy today, but also tomorrow, but of course, Breeders' Cup week as well.
Can't wait for Breeders' Cup, Tom.
Thanks to all of you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Frank Miramati updating us with any late changes. Have fun, everybody, today, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.